Welcome, people. It is I, Krubus136. Patch 7.36C is out. It actually happened yesterday. I didn't see it. I also didn't feel well yesterday. I have COVID. That's a known situation, so what are you going to do? I'm not sure how long I'm going to do anything tonight because this is my normal time to broadcast, but at the very least, I will do this, and we'll figure it out from there. Either way, number one, they made a change to Arcane Blink, but I don't remember what all of the Blink Daggers do, so let me just check that real quick. Normal cooldown for Blink Dagger is 15, 15, 15. So Arcane Blink is the only one that was shorter. I guess it was all the way down to 7, so they've nerfed it to 9, which, good, right? That 2-second nerf is going to affect Tinker as well, since Tinker uses Arcane Blink specifically because of cooldown reduction and it being the lowest blink he could have. So this actually nerfs Tinker very hard, and then everybody who might buy Arcane Blink. In Connection, the health restore did increase by 50, so at least its active effect is better. I don't think that'll make it more desirable. It'll make it less desirable all the same. The mana regen and Arcane Boots, that's the Basilius aura, got reduced to 0.5, which, if I'm correct, is the Basilius's normal aura. Yep, 0.5. So basically, they just made it so the Basilius aura doesn't get stronger. It's the same. That is a nerf to carry mana boots in general, because now you always get the 1 for the passive, but you also get everybody gets the 1, but holding the boots got decreased from 0.275 to 0.5, so the holder of the boots just lost 0.25 mana, per second. Minor, but it does matter. Bloodthorn. Soul Rend no longer deals damage if the silence is dispelled. Okay, so if you had used, like, Legion's Press the Attack to dispel the silence, you still got hit with the damage. Now it's saying, if you purge it, no damage at the end, which is probably how it should be anyway. Phylactery, the recipe cost was increased by 200. Good. That's going to affect Conda anyway. Yep. So good. Anybody who wants to do any of this shit has to spend more money. Honestly, I still don't ever really usually find these items to be good on anybody. Everybody who buys them, I always find it lackluster. But I'm just glad to see it's just getting worse, because I just don't want to see it in my game anyway. Meteor Hammer, mana regen amplification bonus. It does that? Yeah, I guess. Was decreased by 25%, so now holding a Meteor Hammer doesn't give you such amplification on the mana that you get. Meteor Hammer mana cost was decreased by 25, which is probably still a nerf. Yes, it's cheaper to cast it, but typically any mana that you would be getting, you'd be getting such a big amount versus a 25% nerf that it's not going to balance out. So this is a really big nerf for Meteor Hammer, and I think that's good. Radiance burn radius was decreased by 50. That just means that it doesn't cover as much area. This is a nerf to, like, a Spectre hitting everybody with Radiance even though you're not anywhere near someone. I think this is a really good nerf to Radiance. It doesn't change the core of what it does for you farm-wise, damage-wise, and in a close-knit fight. What it does is it changes the concept of you just affecting everything and stopping blinks and all this stuff. So I'm glad, actually. I think that might be needed. Revenant's Brooch. Phantom Province mana cost, that's when you're actively using it, is now affected by mana cost reduction. That means that the 50 mana could be lowered from 50 mana per attack to lower than 50 mana per attack, which I think is fine. It should. I mean, it's fine to lower the mana cost. It probably should have worked that way in the first place. Shadow Walk break duration, that basically is the act of hitting someone. The break itself, it lasts an extra second. That's a huge nerf to any big passive heroes. This is PA, this is Bristleback, Spectre. So any hero that's relying on big passives, even Wraith King at times, Abaddon with his ult, the fact that Shadow Walk lasts an extra second, it just gives so much more power to it. Well, the extra break, I mean. That's a really big buff to Silver Edge, which is going to make it a much more desirable item. Charges are no longer added when item is duplicated. So if Meepo had Pack Rat and had 2 of them, or Arc Warden as a Tempest Double, okay, sure. So it just fixed an exploit, basically. Same thing with Spirit Vessel. Overall on these items, the big one is Arcane Blink, obviously. Everything else is really minor. Just small nerfs, small buffs. I mean, they matter, but they're not huge. Only neutral change was Psychic Push is now a knockback effect because they changed the way knockback is. That's all the more reason why. Aghanim Scepter range was decreased by 300. Damage threshold was increased. So, okay, what this basically means, right? I believe this is the ability on Abaddon that shoots out any ally who takes damage gets a mist coil at them. Okay? That's what it does. So, A, they have to be closer to Abaddon, making Abaddon less apt to shoot them out in the first place. B, now they have to take more damage, 25 more damage, before a mist coil will come. Also affects that, right? So these are big nerfs in general. Got to be closer to Abaddon, and you'll take more damage before mist coil will come, which means that in general it's just less efficient. They did buff his Talon on Curse, and the borrowed time DPS for just existing around him got increased, but this is overall huge nerfs to Ags. And I mean like really big nerfs to Ags. It's very sad for Abaddon. I think it's needed though. Okay, he has a facet for exposure. Cold Feet AoE increased. It's the same early, but it ends up being 50 higher. I actually don't even know. So exposure, Cold Feet applies in an AoE depending on the current level of Ice Blast. Okay, that's just one of his things. So you can make Cold Feet AoE, and the AoE gets a little bit bigger than it used to. That's fine. I don't think it's a huge nerf or anything. It's 50. It's 0, 50, 50, 50. So every level except before Ice Blast, it's just 50 bigger AoE, and that's probably needed. I saw this once, one of the only changes I actually saw. The linger duration on one-man army. One-man army is the one that gives him strength. He gets strength based on his armor as long as he's alone. The linger duration, which is how long that buff stays when he meets up with his team, was nerfed by 2 whole seconds. So when his team shows up, this buff goes away real quick. And that's how it should be. It should just be, like, gone. They gave it way too much linger before. Now they're nerfing the linger. They gave it a lot of linger, and they changed the range that, like, made it more... He had to be further away. Now they're changing the linger as well, because they're realizing it's probably still not, like, good. These talents don't matter much. Bounty Hunter. Duration was decreased by 5 seconds on track. That just means that he has to reapply track more often. Damage amplification was decreased by 2 at all levels, so he gives less damage amp as well. This is minor. I mean, it's just going to change Bounty Hunter to have to be more, like, actively following you with track, because you can get away from him. Like, it's 5 seconds matters, you know what I mean? It's a pretty big percentage, but it doesn't change how he plays. Brewmasters roll out the barrel facet. Barrel impact damage was decreased. I actually kind of felt that this impact was really strong in lane, so that makes sense to me. It's 10, 15, 20, 25 nerf. Probably needed. It's minor, but, you know. Aghanim Shard bonus duration was decreased by a whole 4 seconds, so I think they recognized that he was in Primal Split way too often, so doing a nerf so that he's not in ult quite as long is definitely needed. Because Brewmaster in general, his ult lasts...
Raise 'em high, friends.
20 seconds. And his Aghanims... Oh, sorry, Shard. The duration increases 24, 26... It's to 24, 26, 28. So basically increases... You're usually going to get it when you're level 18 or something, whatever, anyway. In 8 seconds... It's actually 8 seconds always, right? Yeah, 8 seconds is the change now. It used to give 12 seconds on the increase, right? So they just nerfed it at 4 at all levels, basically, and that's really needed. Instead of giving 8 seconds, it only gives 4. That just means Brewmaster will be out of ult longer and more, killable. I think this is definitely needed. Brewmaster felt really strong in the one game I did play against him. That's just work, I think. Let's remember it's my dad as well. Sorry, I have to answer this. Sorry, guys. Okay, I might get him a response, but I don't have to read it right away, so I won't. Base health regen was decreased. He definitely needed to be less tanky, so they took away 1. Perfect. Max health gain on Rawhide, which is he gets health every 2 minutes, was decreased by 5. That's minor, but obviously over the course of the whole game he'll be a little bit squishier. I think this is needed. He feels wicked tanky, like way too tanky. So good. Strength gain decreased on Chaos Knight. I'm fine with that too. He felt really strong. It's 0.1, but whatever. They nerfed the strength talent too. Probably also needed. They're very minor changes. Hook up, which is the hook shot. When he can hit an ally. Hey, what's up, Keeps On? Now applies the barrier to Clockwork himself, not just his allies. I guess when he hit an ally, he was giving them a barrier, and he wasn't getting the same barrier, so now he also gains 1. He shares, which is probably needed. Cooldown was increased to have to scale back to 15 for cogs. The mana burn was decreased, so it has to scale back to what it normally is. So yeah, just, early Clockwork nerfs and a buff to hook up because it didn't feel like it was that impactful of a talent depending on the context. So good. Darkseer. Heart of Bat. I don't know what that does. Darkseer moves faster when near other heroes, or he gains attack speed from intelligence. The movement speed he gains from heroes got decreased by 1%, making him slower. Minor. Having Wall of Replica hit a hero. Or do they mean the replica itself? Okay. The illusion it creates now does a little bit less damage. Normal punch now stuns less at its max stun, which is based on how far he's moved. So it's never going to stun you quite as long as it was before. So these are all nerfs. These are all nerfs to Darkseer, which I never see him, but good. It's a reference to One Punch Man, in case you're not familiar. Okay, good. My dad just sent something that I could easily ignore. So Thorny Thicket gives extra brambles. I know that. They were lasting too long, the extra brambles, so they don't last that long anymore. They just last a shorter amount of time, which is definitely a nerf. In general, brambles also decrease their timer. Now they last 3 seconds less, which is definitely a big nerf. And Bedlam can no longer be cast on allies. That was ridiculous. So good. Huge nerf to Dark Willow. Like, bye. That's gonna severely nerf her. Dragonite, Fire Dragon. The cleave damage was increased by 5% at all levels. This is what we need. I never see Fire Dragons ever. I mean that. So that's hilarious that you said that, since that's one of her abilities. I'm not sure if you knew that, but literally one of Dark Willow's abilities is Shadow Realm. I guarantee that you didn't mean it like that, Keeps On. You just meant the normal joke of being sent to the Shadow Realm. But yeah, okay, I didn't think so. But very, very interesting. Dragonite needed a buff to the Red Dragon. It just is what it is. I really do like that they're trying to buff it rather than necessarily nerf the rest. Drow, multi-shot goes faster. That's really strong, actually, because it's pretty slow-ish. Just increasing the speed of it is going to really increase her farming speed. It's going to kill heroes more likely. When she's catching you through trees, it'll hit you faster, so she's more likely to get a kill. And it's going to help stop siege. These are all minor. Oh, and Furry's going to love this one. Sleight of Fist lost 5 damage at all levels. So it's slightly less debilitating. Slightly. Enigma's 10 slower. That's a really big nerf for him. 10's a lot. Eidolon's bonus health as a percentage of Enigma's health was decreased by 1%. I know, right? Enigma in general, I forgot how Demonic Stepping even worked. It takes away his health. Yeah. It's based on his current health. So 1% is minor, but the damage was decreased by a little bit. Very slightly, a couple. Well, depending what level we're talking about. I mean, whatever. It stops him from pushing as hard, stops him from killing as much. They're a little squishier. Okay. Time Zone, which is his other thing instead of having his Chronosphere. The cast range was increased, so it happens faster. Right, isn't that what it is?
Your end comes.
Yeah. No. Attack speed manipulation was increased, so it seems more impactful early. And the radius was increased. I haven't really seen Time Zone as much. I've seen it, but it never felt that impactful. So I'm glad to see it buffed. It probably needs it. Chronosphere just feels bigger. Bonus attack range was decreased on Acorn Shot, so it's much harder to hit at all levels. 50 at all levels. Good. Fuck Hoodwink. Mastermind, which is when he gets XP for denies. Now also triggers if units under Invoker's control land the deny. I guess it didn't. I guess like Forge Spirits would not give him the deny thing. They should have always. That's just an obvious oversight, so they just fixed it. I mean, maybe. You never know, Keeps On. You never know. Spoils of War, which is the facet that lets allies take dual damage, went up slightly by 1, 2, 3 more damage, so it's more impactful for the whole team. I can see how this would be really good or really terrible for Legion. The risk versus reward is very high. It's good, though. It does feel more impactful, and I'm okay with that. It's definitely a, you know, death ball kind of strat. Lightning Storm on last cast range was decreased by 50. Definitely needed. 100% needed. This was, like, definitely what we had to get. You know what I mean? Lich. They changed both. Frostbound, which is it lingering for a little while. The duration was decreased. It lasted too long, so they lowered it by 0.5 seconds at all levels. In Growing Cold, the illusions killed are now treated as creeps killed. So him killing illusions on... I don't remember what Growing Cold even does.
Feel my cold embrace.
Okay. When an enemy is killed by Chain Frost or while under the effects of Frost Shield, the duration of these abilities increases. So that means if you kill an illusion of a hero, like a PL illusion, it will get stronger. So that's a huge counter to Chaos Knight, PL, Naga, because now... Oh, wait, no, they're treated as creep kills. I'm sorry, the reverse. That sucks because it used to count. So now illusion heroes are strong because they'll waste bounces. Well, they don't really waste Frost Shield duration, but they don't help. So that really sucks for Lich. So that's good. Alright, Facet. Corpse Eater. Max health bonus per kill decreased from 2 to 1. That's probably needed. No longer increases max health when killing other unit types, wards, cogs, because you did get them. Now receives +5 max health from killing heroes. Okay. This is a nerf for sure. Not getting max health from like weird things is a small nerf. Getting it halved, big nerf. Getting extra from heroes is minor. How many are you really going to get that way? You're definitely still going to be a less tanky hero. They also made his open wound scale. So definitely a nerf to Lifestealer that was really needed. Please be Lone Druid nerf. Okay. Bonus attack speed from True Form on this facet was increased by 5%. Whatever. Yeah, it was definitely needed. I agree. Fuck Lone Druid, honestly. Mars. Victory Feast facet. Health Restore was increased by 10%. That's where if an enemy dies inside of it, he restores max health and mana and gets an attack damage buff. Thank you, Inferi, for the sub. So this just means he's going to restore even more health. That's the point. So, you know, that means that Mars can actually, like, survive. Because he does have a small survivability problem sometimes. Mana Pact, which is the draining her own mana for, you know, attack speed. The attack speed bonus per second was increased from 3% to 3.5%, and the max attack speed was increased by 5%. So it scales up faster, and it has a higher max, making it more worth it to take this, because Medusa might actually wipe a team. Needed. That's cool. Nice risk versus reward. Deluge, which is the opposite of the Riptide. The cooldown was decreased, so it now scales to be better. That way it can actually keep up with Riptide. It just means you can use it more often, and it's probably 100% needed. I never see anybody use Naga, but still. NP. Soothing Saplings. Sprout heal per second was rescaled so that it's lower early, higher late. That's fine. I'd rather lower early. That's all I care about. I hate Ninja's Prophet. Ironwood Treant. The Treant damage increased by 4 on each level from... Yeah, okay, they're just stronger. Making it more likely he takes the Treant. Nature's Call, treant damage increased by 2. So the regular one's increased by 2, and they double it for the Ironwood. The 2 doubles to 4. So it just makes regular treants better anyway. And this one, the Ironwood treant's better. So both, everything's better. It gives them more options. I like a lot of heroes. I just don't like that here. I hate him and Lone Druid both. Necro. The Rapid Decay, I don't remember what that even does. Necros gains movement speed equal to movement speed lost by enemies. Okay. Movement speed gained from enemy loss increased. So now when he uses Rapid Decay, he's significantly faster. And I think that's needed. If you're going to take Rapid Decay instead of, you know, Sadist granting AoE, you know, for anything that he uses, like Radiance or whatever else, it's definitely needed that he's going to make me faster. I can see it, because keeping up with heroes matters. A lot of people buy Blink Dagger on Necro. You definitely don't need it if you're that fast. Night Stalker, lots of changes. Crippling Fear now only starts costing mana per second with Ags if the duration is extended past its normal end. I don't even remember how that even works.
Not this again.
It takes a percentage of max mana per second to maintain after the initial duration time. So once you go past the 6 seconds of night, or 3 seconds a day, he can keep it on if he wants to. Okay. It used to just take mana per second. It used to just be, hey, you activated Crippling Fear with Ags, here comes your mana cost. I think that's fair. Mana cost with Aghanim is always 6%. It doesn't scale or anything. Aghanim Shard's max health restore was decreased by 5%, so he can't heal as easily off of creeps. Dark Ascension doesn't refresh cooldowns at all. And the talent for Dark Ascension got nerfed. I mean, this is a buff on Crippling Fear, which is probably way bigger than any other nerf here, but, I mean, it's still nice. I think the Crippling Fear might be too strong, but I'm glad they were nerfing some stuff about him. Omnipresent, which is... he does more damage the longer you're in his aura. The damage increase interval was decreased, meaning that the damage ups every 0.3 seconds rather than 0.4 seconds. So he'll end up doing more damage more often than not. Minor, but still. I don't really mind that. Oracle. His Facet, Clairvoyant Cure, Heal Amp was decreased. I don't even know what it does. Per hero level. His hero level. So he gets less Heal Amp, because every level he's going to lose 0.25%. This is a minor nerf. Roll Up, the duration was decreased by 0.5. That just gives Pango less options. They nerfed a bunch of talents too. Ooh, PA got a base damage increase of 2. And starting evasion increased from 5 to 20. Yo. With the same bonus per level, PA will just have significantly more evasion and a base damage increase. Afro's going to lose her mind. Yeah, that's big. That's a big increase. The damage increase matters too, since I take Methodical, so that the crits will end up mattering since it's base damage. This is really nice. I like this a lot. I think PA's in a decent spot, and this probably just very slightly puts PA good, you know? Flare's Hook was increasing Hook's speed. It no longer does that. That was too strong. They're going to keep the rest of the benefits of Flare's Hook, but just not make it bullshit. Flesh Heap. Bonus strength was decreased per kill, so that it has to scale better up to 2. So it's just lower earlier, so he can't be quite as strong early. Meat Shield lasts 1 less second at all levels. And his raw talent got decreased too. So these are definitely some good nerfs on Pudge. I think they're all needed. Still a good hero, but just fair. Razor, damage increased on Storm Surge. Went up by 10 at all levels. That's really annoying, but I am glad Razor still stands as a good anti-carry. Dust Devil, which is the big one with his... It's the one where he does damage but doesn't go invis. The speed now increases when Sand King is outside of it, up to 125% of Sand King's move speed, so it can catch up faster. Sandstorm's damage per second was increased at later levels. Okay, it did feel pretty meaningless in the late game, so that's cool. Okay. Shadowmire, which is the stacking, move slow, attack speed debuff, was rescaled to have to scale up to that at both of them. Both of them scale, you know, they're worse early, they have to scale back up. Necromastery no longer increases souls when killing other unit types, wards, cogs, etc. That's a nerf, obviously, but minor. Shadow Ray's bonus per stack was decreased so that it has to scale up to the same level, so early game Shadow Feed suffers. This is nice. Really good early game Shadow Feed nerfs. He's still a good hero and still has a place. He just isn't as strong early. He can't dominate. Silencer, a mana cost change that doesn't matter. Aghanim Scepter, Arcane Curse duration is now set to current global silence duration instead of always 6. That means that if you had a lower level of global silence, it wouldn't allow you to keep the Arcane Curse lasting 6 seconds. It would last less. It would only last 4.5 or 5.25. Minor nerf. Dark Reef Renegade, which is Barracuda lingering after being revealed if you're not near allied heroes. The linger duration was increased, notably, by the way, 1 whole second up to, 1 second all levels. And the search radius was decreased, meaning it won't check as far to see if someone's near you. It'll check 100 less units, making it more likely you can actually get the Barracuda back up. Nice buff. Little Shredder attack damage was increased by 5%. Ugh. They did nerf the talent, though, so basically they front-loaded 5% of the talent and put it into the base ability. So late game, it's not going to change anything, but it does change early game. They helped the later levels of Scattershot, so the movement slow is much better. And whatever. Spectre's Desolate does more damage, 5 at all levels, and the talent increased, so that's nice for Spectre. Mana cost now scales up on charge, which is really nice for early game Spirit Breaker, although it ends up being more mana later. Nether Strike's cooldown. Yeah, this is just the heroes that were changed. There's way more than this. Cooldown was increased by 5 seconds at all level for Nether Strike, which is totally fair. These are good changes to Spirit Breaker. Storm Spirit Static Slide. That's when Remnant spawns Storm Spirit. Stack Remnant spawns at Storm Spirit and moves to the targeted position. Yeah, it's a lot. Remnant speed was decreased, so it's slower. Can now be toggled to all cast to always place Remnant at your position. That way you're not forced to have it slide. That's good. Galvanized, which is when he gains mana regen per kill. He has a built-in, like, old Bloodstone. Ball Lightning now gives 3 charges instead of 5. So I guess when he learns a level of Ball Lightning, he gains charges. So now it gives less. It gave too much mana, I guess. Static Remnant gives way less vision, by the way. It used to give 500, which isn't even a lot. Now it gives 100. So these are general nerfs for Storm, and they were probably needed. Heavy Plate, Warcry, the barrier amount was increased by 10, 20, 30, 40. So it's a little bit better at surviving. Wrath of God, base damage reduction decreased from 25 to 20. I don't even remember what that even does.
There's no greater honor.
Okay. So that has additional attack damage from strength, but has decreased base damage. Okay. His base damage reduction was decreased, making Wrath of the God better, because he doesn't lose as much damage when he takes the talent. So he still scales off strength the same, but he loses 5 less strength, making the early game even better if you take this than it was. Which is really nice. 5 damage matters. TA. Barrier per instance was rescaled so that now it's always 30. So how much it blocks is better than its beginning always, but it's not going to be nearly as good for blocking from before. Sonic Trap's movement slow was nerfed at both ends. This is a nerf to TA, but a minor one. For Krill Eater, which is the one I think where Tide scales up.
Time.
Yeah, Tide Hunter grows larger and gains extra bonuses per level. That's Krill Eater. The base strength increased by 2, making him tankier, do more damage, etc. Damage block on Kraken Shell was nerfed early, very, very, very slightly. Immediately it's better after that, and it gets a 5 better at the end. That's a really, tough change. Tide Hunter is much tankier now. Timbersaw. Twisted Chakram, which is the one that flies around like crazy. It's a facet. The cast range, now the furthest range the Chakram can go instead of the middle of its travel path. So go farther. Okay. Might be easier to dodge it if it goes farther, to be honest with you. It'll give more area in the middle where you don't get hit by it, I believe. Tinker. Defense Matrix. Dispel type change from strong to basic. Ooh. No, so his Chakram, it used to go in the middle of its travel path, so it wasn't going as far as the Chakram could go. Now it should be going to the furthest it could go, which means it'll go farther. Defense Matrix is only a basic and not a strong dispel. That's a big nerf for Tinker. Good. They also put his damage later and his AoE laser earlier. I think that's fine. Tiny. Crash Landing, which I have no idea what does. Toss units slow and deal bonus damage to other targets at the toss destination. Movement slow was decreased by 5% at all levels. Attack slow was decreased by 15 at the early levels and scales back to being normal. That's a big nerf to Crash Landing. Yeah, different. Aghanim Shard no longer increases bonus movement speed. That's a huge nerf to Ag Shard for Triet. Max stacks on Fervor was decreased by 2. On Troll, that's a huge nerf to his maximum attack speed. I think Troll's unplayable now, honestly. I'm not sure, but I think so. Abyssal Horde, the warrior damage was decreased, so it's always lower. The archer also is lower at all levels. Cooldown for Fiend's Gate was increased at the late levels, meaning you can't even use the Abyssal Horde as often. And the buff duration was decreased to always be 5 as well. Facts. Who cares? Stun duration was decreased on Venge's Stun, so it has to scale up to where it was before. It ends up being the same, but the damage also has to scale up. It's still weaker, actually. So it's 5, 10, 15, 20 nerf. Big nerf, and it was needed. So good. I love Venge, but she needed a nerf. Grave Chill's AoE was decreased by 50, because apparently Sepulcher affected everybody. It's just less likely to do that. Faithful Followers. Target AoE stun usage for familiars can no longer get cancelled by right-click attack commands. That's a UI issue. It just looks like these were just issues people were having with the UI and getting things to work. Champion of Goroth. HP, mana regen to burn damage was decreased. Yeah, they were doing more burn based on Warlock's health and mana, and it's doing less than that. 10% less than it was. Golem health was rescaled to be more early, less late. That's probably still good, though, honestly, because you're never killing it early anyway. You just don't. Late is, I would love to see the 200 damage nerf. That's big. Skitter Step. Your movement, Shikuchi goes faster and slows enemies when you pass through them. The slow duration was decreased by 0.1, which is whatever. Geminate, attack damage was decreased. It does no extra damage at before ult. Sorry, you get it at base level. So base level before you level it, it does nothing, and it does less at all levels that you do level it. Good, honestly. Nice nerfs to Weaver. Witch Doctor, Voodoo Festeration. That's the one where it hurts people, right? Yeah. Radius was decreased by 100 at all levels, and the self-heal was decreased by 25%. I didn't know that had been a problem, but it's not a spider, by the way. He's a bug. He's like a beetle. I didn't know this was a problem, but good. Wraith King mana cost increased on Reincarnation. Okay. And overall, none of these changes for most of these heroes are really major. We already talked about the item ones and what matters there. I think Abaddon is one of the biggest losers, as is Axe and Axe, Brew, and Lifestealer. Anybody else, I think, got a much more minor change. They might matter, but they're not crazy. They don't change the way a hero is played. They just make them better or worse. I just hate Lone Druid in general. He's one of the most garbage heroes to play against. It's literally impossible. I never play against any Lone Druid and, like, win. If I'm against a Lone Druid, I will lose. So, I'm going to end this stream because it's obviously the patch. I'm going to get back on. I don't know if we're playing DotA. If Infuri's up for it, I'll play anyway. But it might take me a second. I'm just going to get my food together. So, you know, stick around. I will be back in just a couple minutes. Appreciate you guys for watching. See you next time.